Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ashwini, treasurer of eSoft Club. Hope you are doing well, including your family. So today is the eighth session of Softvidya, and the session is on styling. Welcome our today's resource person, Dr. Joshua Daniel sir. I also welcome all the participants present here and my student coordinator team. We hope you will have fun participation. Thank you. Sir, you can continue.
Yeah. So, good evening, students, and thank you for inviting me to deliver a lecture on Xilinx. I take I take an immense pleasure in sharing the knowledge with you. And yes, uh, how many of you have heard this term, the Xilinx? Xilinx. Xilinx, I got to know when I started my post graduation studies. Till then, even I was not knowing about Xilinx. So, probably in 2002, I got to know about this Xilinx. Since then, in many occasions, we'll be using the Xilinx, and also uh, I used to teach some of the part of Xilinx. Okay, so yes, uh, before I start know what is a Xilinx, I just wanted to run through the websites here. That is, you can see the website. It's a website of organization Xilinx. Okay, so Xilinx is basically a company. It is a corporate organization, and they deal with different aspects of electronics very particularly. And if you look into it, their solutions are basically they provide solutions for aerospace, automotive, broadcast, consumer electronics, data center, and prototyping, industrial, healthcare, measurement. Like this, it can continue to add on. They provide solutions. How do they provide solutions to the problems of these industries? By developing the products, by developing appropriate products. So they develop several devices and evaluation boards and kits, accelerators, Ethernet adapters, software development, hardware development, embedded development kits, core technologies, accelerated applications, and so on. So they are mainly into producing some of the sophisticated electronic circuits. In a very simple way, I can say that these circuits provides solutions for these many sectors: aerospace, automotive, industrial, healthcare, medical, consumer electronics, and everywhere. Okay, so here we are going to discuss only a few in detail, and very particularly about one of the important software that is introduced by Xilinx. Hope you now you got to know Xilinx is a organization which is headquartered in US. Even in Bangalore, there are many uh, branches out there. And this Xilinx is basically related to VLSI industry. VLSI, and to the greater extent, they involve in embedded system also. So although VLSI and the embedded are a different domain, they in every way they try to combine these two technologies together to make the world a sophisticated and a modern one. So for this, their contribution is very much highly appreciated, and very they are well known for producing many one of the important devices called FPGAs. Shortly, I'm going to discuss with you what is called FPGA and other detail. Okay, it's basically an organization. That's what I just wanted to start with. And coming to this today's lecture, I'm not going to talk about the company, rather, I'm going to talk about a product which was developed and widely used by this company, particularly in VLSI and embedded system domain. Okay, so once again, I welcome you all. If you have anyone has joined late. Okay, so now first we will discuss about VLSI design cycle. Hmm? VLSI means very large scale integration. Most of you might have heard this term VLSI. VLSI stands for very large scale integration. So the derivation into VLSI itself, it has an own history and the terminologies and many other details involved in, but I'm not getting into it. Straight away, I'm jumping into that VLSI. Hope you understand. Very VLSI, it basically it means that it is a process. It is a process where more than million number of transistors could be placed on an integrated circuits. Okay, so why I'm talking about transistor here, as we discuss this design cycle, you will get to know about it. Okay, so more than million number of transistors, we cannot even imagine, no, the lab, we what kind of transistor we are handling. Maximum of one transistor, two transistor you are using for either designing an RC coupled amplifier, or for transferring as a switch, or for any amplifier purpose. For that itself, if you're not getting outputs or no outputs or no output, you're all calling, and you will not able to troubleshoot it. But think of that here, in this process there are more than million number of transistors are used. See, this VLSI, it was started in 1980s. 1980s the VLSI was started, but still we are talking about this VLSI, isn't it? Almost no 40 years down the line, if you look into it. So it has started there, but still, even in India, everywhere in the world, entire world, still they are talking about the VLSI. But I believe that the thing is already migrated towards ULSI. ULSI called ultra large scale integration. So that is what everyone is trying to move forward. So that's first. Let us discuss about what is this VLSI. No, yes, VLSI, as I told you, it is a cumbersome process. It cannot be handled by a single human mind. Okay, so the pioneers of VLSI, what they did, they tried to decompose the VLSI design process into several cycles or several steps as well. So each step can be handled by a group of people, so that the work can be done easily and the time could be saved, and efficiently the work can be done as well. Okay, so as I was talking about this VLS, I hope you all might have gone through the information that is presented on the right hand side also. Okay, so what is this VLSI? It is called system specification. System specification. Got it? So that is what, no, the system specification is nothing but it is as plain as idea. It is as simple as idea. Got it? So that is why always we need to give a priority for idea. The initial concept. Without the initial concept, we cannot do any work. So the first thing is the system specification. If you want to design a system, got it? So we must be careful, or we must know the details about the particular system. When I talk about the system specification, it's just not only talking about what are the components that we are going to use. It involves many parameters, maybe a power, maybe a voltage, maybe what to say, current, power consumption, battery life, isn't it? And the transistor size, like that, many things are involved in the system specification. Got it? So that is why even when you want to start some project also, we'll always we are bothered about your idea. What is your prime idea? Got it? So that is the starting point for any work. Starting point for any work. So that is basically the initial concept, isn't it? System specifications. In the down the line, yes, system specification, it's done, it is born in human mind, isn't it? It's basically a what to say, it's born in a human mind. It's a brain child of a human. Okay, so what you and I do, we, yes, we get some concept, we get some idea, we chart it out, isn't it? And now any work that you wanted to do, you have to translate to your work, your ideas to the computer. To the computer. Without computer, nothing is there nowadays in the world, isn't it? So, if it is a normal idea, if it is a normal idea where we just involve in some kind of a calculations or some kind of a processing, yes, well and good. You have many no languages, high level languages are there, C languages there, Java is there, no, like Springs are there, Hibernates, no, like this. There are many what to say, Hibernate. There are languages are there to describe the idea, to describe the idea. So now what is our intention? Next intention is, once you get the initial concept, we have to translate the idea to the computer, to the computer. So this second level is called as design entry. It's called a design entry. Okay. So the design entering the design into the system is done by describing our hardware module. Describe our hardware module. It's a basically hardware module. What we are talking about, it's a hardware module, maybe a circuit or maybe anything else. So describing the hardware module, there are mainly there are two languages are used here. One is called VHDL. Okay, other one is called Verilog HDL. Both are hardware description language. Okay, so here VLSI, hardware description language, and Verilog HDL is a verification of logic hardware description language. So using these two languages, not in both the languages, any one of the language, we can enter our design into the computer. So as we enter in the design into the computer, we also be involved in verifying the functionality of the circuit as well. Next, the third step is, yes, you have given, isn't it? You initially the thought was in your mind. Next, you have entered the design into the system, and the next thing is you have to realize that whatever the coding that you have entered is transformed into a logic circuit, into a logic circuit. That process is called logic synthesis. Realizing the logic circuit from the programming language is called a logic synthesis. Got it? It's basically an implementation also, we can say that. So logic synthesis is the next step. Okay, I'm talking about the general VLSI design cycle. After logic synthesis, we have another step in the downline called circuit design. Okay, you may ask, sir, already we have discussed about the circuit design at the beginning stage itself. But again, there is a circuit design. Got it? If you look at this in the left side, there are 2 pointers are used here. 2 pointers are used here. So this first pointer says that it is a top design level. Top design level, and this pointer says that it is a bottom design level. Okay, or generally the VLSI design process is divided into 2 parts: front end process and the back end process. Using front end process, we can take one different flow and we can implement a circuit, or we can design a circuit. Using back end process also, we can implement a circuit. Got it? So the next step is to design a circuit using MOSFET. Here you might have designed your circuit by using any other components. Physically, you might have used an AND gate or OR gate or a flip-flop, something you might have used in the in the HDL part. Before the HDL part, we might have had a circuit, as you draw the diagram with the logic gates. Got it? But when it comes to the circuit design part, whatever the logic gates that you see, that would be replaced by a MOSFET. Replaced by a MOSFET. Got it? MOSFET you might have studied in your, I think in your EDC or some other subject you might have studied. Okay. So complete circuit will be translated into MOSFET. So once that is done, the next step is to implement a circuit in such a way that would be ready for manufacturing. Got it? What is that I'm talking about? So here, the first level you will be having a hardware circuits where you have a physical AND gate, physical OR gate, like that will be there. Whereas when it comes to the physical design part, the entire circuit will be replaced with a rectilinear surfaces. Rectilinear surfaces. Got it? So I want you to go through this. Then later, when time permits, you just log into net. Then you'll get to know what I'm talking about the physical design. Got it? So every part will be divided, will be represented by using a rectilinear surfaces. Got it? And after rectilinear, after dividing, after representing all the circuits into a rectilinear surface, the final product is going to be the final step is going to be the manufacturing of IC. Manufacturing of IC. So for a manufacturing facility, we will be sending only one file called GDS file. Got it? That is graphic data stream or graphic design stream. So this file will be sent from the designer's desk to the manufacturing premises, where they will use that for manufacturing the devices. Understand? So, and finally, after manufacturing, you'll be able to get a finished VLSI chip. Got it? Hope this would have given you a good understanding about what is a VLSI design cycle. Understand? And I just wanted to show you just only 1 minute I'll take here at this point, and I'll show you what kind of the thing I'm talking about. Can you see that here? So what do you see basically in this? Can someone tell what do you see here?
MOSFETs.
Do you see a MOSFET here? Do you see a MOSFET here? Some rectilinear surfaces are there. Got it? Rectilinear surfaces are there. If you look at this circuit, such a big circuit where a lot of connections are there here and there, but it is actually a circuit. Actually a circuit. Your final implementation of any circuit will be only in the form of straight lines and cross connections. Understand? So if you look at this, this is also a circuit. This is also a circuit. Inside an integrated circuit, this is the kind of connection will be there, or this is the kind of representation will be there in every integrated circuit. Understand? So you draw the circuit diagram, we enter the circuit diagram or whatever the architecture to the computer, then we translate our circuit diagram into the MOSFET, then the MOSFET will be finally transferred into or translated into a rectilinear surfaces. Understand? And finally, when it is sent to the manufacturing premises, this is how it will be. Can you make any details out of it? It is one integrated circuit. Inside one integrated circuit, this is what you would be able to see. Understand? Everywhere it will be like this only. Where is your AND gate? Where is your this thing? Nothing is there. Everything is replaced by a rectilinear surface. Got it? So it's as I told you, it's a very big process. VLSI design is a very, very big process. All will not be expert in all the fields. So people will select their fields and they will try to expertise themselves for working in a VLSI industry. Understood? Okay. Any doubt with the details of discussed so far?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Fine. So yes, and now coming to this, today we are going to discuss what is the role of Xilinx in this VLSI design cycle. What is the role of Xilinx in the VLSI design cycle? Got it. So the role of Xilinx is basically, it is here only mainly. Not only here, even I can just extend this. Uh, I can extend this from here to here, up to here. Logic synthesis and this module. Understand? So this is basically, this part of the VLSI design is handled by the Xilinx. Not only Xilinx, there are many other softwares are there. Okay, so one of the software that is most widely used in academia and the industry is Xilinx. Okay, so you may ask, what are the other softwares? There are Cadence. Cadence software is there. Minta graphics tools are there. Got it? So like this, there are many. Even Aldec is there. So like this, there are many softwares are used for entering the design into the computer. Okay. Okay. And as I told you, we have now two languages. Got it? What are the languages? VHDL and Verilog HDL. VHDL and Verilog HDL. So today I'm just going to use the Verilog HDL. Today I'm going to use the Verilog HDL. Please understand that I take this session only to introduce the Xilinx tool and not to talk more about Verilog. Got it? Because that itself is a separate subject altogether. It's a semester big subject, so I cannot handle the complete details about the Verilog HDL right now. Why I'm choosing Verilog HDL is, yes, of course, VHDL is also there, but Verilog HDL is most widely used in industry, in academia, and everywhere else, other than this VHDL. The reasons are, the Verilog HDL is, no, it is quite standardized, and also it is very much similar to the the basic high level language C programming. Okay, and also there are kind of very many extensions also available for Verilog HDL. So what are the extensions? There are some constructs. There are some constructs to verify your design, and there are some constructs to test your design. So like that, there are many supports are available for Verilog HDL. So even if I spend a couple of no, just a couple of hours also, I just wanted that it should be useful to you. So you should have some takeaway out of this session. That is why I have chosen the Verilog HDL. Okay. So yes, as I told you, we are going to focus on one particular aspect of the VLSI design process. Got it? So we are going to discuss about how to implement our design onto a FPGA. Got it? So what you may ask, what is that? What is the difference between this block diagram and the previous block diagram? So the first block diagram with the flow chart, whatever I shown to you, that was basically a VLSI design process, which is used for designing a new integrated circuit. Okay, so that we call it as an ASIC, application specific integrated circuit. With using that flow, we will design an integrated circuit which could be used for one specific application. Understand? But here, what we are going to use here is called another design flow, which is called FPGA. FPGA stands for Field Programmable Gate Arrays. Okay, so the history of studying the FPGA, I'll leave it to you, because the FPGA allows, you all might have been familiar with your microcontroller programming, isn't it? So in a microcontroller, how you were able to download your program onto the microcontroller and able to do whatever the application that you are intended for, isn't it? The same way, the digital circuits, okay, you want to design some digital circuit and you want to test its performance, understand? For example, if I want to go for some hardware experiments, got it? So what do for let's say I wanted to implement a full ladder. So if I want to implement a full ladder, you know that there are many components are required. So you need an AND gate, you need an OR gate. So these are discrete components that it's required here. Separate AND gate is required, separate OR gate is required, separately exclusive OR gates are required, isn't it? So instead of doing that, what I will do, I will design one integrated circuit itself as an full adder circuit. Understand? So when I use this, that entire it will be functioning as a full adder integrated circuit. So by using this FPGA device, what we can do, we can configure this integrated. This is basically an integrated circuit. It's a programmable integrated circuit. So using this integrated circuit, we can configure this integrated circuit to function as however we want, isn't it? You want to download a program for AND gate, and you are expecting this FPGA to function as an AND gate, that will be done. If you want that, you want to design a microcontroller and you want the FPGA to function as a microcontroller, that also can be done with the help of the FPGA. It's a programmable. It is a programmable. So if you look into the design flow, as usual, we'll be having a design entry. How we will do the design entry? By using the hardware description language, isn't it? Yes. Then synthesis also involved here. Synthesis also, I told you, it's a realization of a circuit, okay, or implementation of a circuit from the design. Then we'll implement on the FPGA, and finally we'll program it in such a way that it will do the intended operation for us. Understand? An FPGA. Okay, you can see that here. It's a two-dimensional kind of an array. It consists of array of logic blocks and interconnections between logic blocks, and we can implement a desired function by making an appropriate connections to the logic blocks. Got it? So you can see that here there are some couple of images I put up here, isn't it? So these images will help you to know what is the FPGA. So this itself looks like an integrated circuit, isn't it? This itself looks like an integrated circuit. So Xilinx, you can see that it's written here, Xilinx. Here also it is Xilinx. Here also you can see Xilinx. But what product of Xilinx this is? This is an FPGA, FPGA of the Xilinx. Understand? Okay. So what will be there inside the FPGA? What will be the inside an FPGA? There are many components will be there. Just to give you some brief idea about the internal diagram of FPGA, I've given you some of the details over here. Consider this complete thing as a one square integrated circuit. Inside this, there are some configurable logic blocks. Got it? So configure logic blocks will consist of your basic elements, combinational and sequential elements, and also it has a memory. You see that all are arranged in the form of a two-dimensional array, isn't it? Then also there are some combinational logic blocks further, and there are some DSP units also. In a sophisticated FPGAs, you'll be having some DSP units so that it can be used for processing applications also, maybe image processing, video processing, any applications that you can. As I told you, Xilinx is into providing solutions for several sectors, not aerospace, automobile, health, name it anything, defense, and everywhere this FPGAs are being used. And also you can see that these are connected to the some of the input pins, input output pins. Correct. Using this input output pins, we can enable the FPGA to communicate to the external world also. Fine. Yes. And hope this will give you a good idea about this one. Understand? Okay. So I just taken one simple example of circuit. Is there any guess what circuit is this? What circuit is this?
Uh, flip.
Flip-flop.
Full ladder.
It is a simple full adder circuit. Understand? It is a simple full adder circuit. Okay, why I given this circuit here? Understand? So if you look at the VLSI design flow, we have seen that the design entry can be done only after designing a circuit, isn't it? So we have designed a circuit now. So we have to enter this circuit into the system now. That's called a design entry. Entering the design into the system is called a design entry. So for this, okay, we know the truth table of the full adder also. Got it? So that we will come to that. So we use what the Verilog HDL, okay, or VHDL also we can use. But what we'll do, we'll just now only we'll stick onto the Verilog so that it will be useful also for you. Yes, circuit is there, and this is the truth table. So that truth table gives us what are the sum value and what are the carry out values for the given three inputs. Got it? If I want to describe, then I should know some of the details about Verilog also, isn't it? So generally, if you look into it, you see that there are some wires are there. No, here from A to the input of the XOR gate, some wires are there. Here to here, there are some wires are there. Here to there are some wires are there, isn't it? So any idea what will be the signal passed through these wires connected between the circuits or at the input side or at the output side in a digital perspective? In a digital perspective, yes.
Logic signals.
Sumant, can you be a little loud?
Logic signals, sir.
Logic signals. Any other answers? Digital means it is a game of zeros and one only. That's it. Understand? So the signals that could be carried through these wires in a digital context are 0 and 1s. Understand? Yes. How do we define this in a Verilog? So for this, there are two data types are used in a Verilog called net and register. Got it? So the both net and register are data types and are capable of carrying four types of values, isn't it? This is similar to the kind of data types that we use in our regular high-level languages like a C programming and all. So you may have no studied about integer data type, float data type, double data type, isn't it? So integer provides one set of value, double provides another set of value, character provides another set of value, byte provides other, like that. Net and register also provide some set of values. Got it? What are the values it can provide? 0, 1, X, and Z. Because in digital, we'll be dealing with these data only. Got it? So 0 is logic 0, 1 is logic 1, X is unknown value, and Z is for high impedance. That is for higher impedance. So we can represent the values by using the net or register data type. Net is generally used for designing a combinational logic circuits, whereas registers are generally used for a sequential logic circuits, because the net is having an ability to monitor or accept the changes changes that is taking place instantaneously. Got it? So as long as the input is changes, immediately the output also will change in the net data type, whereas register is not like that. If one output is changed, okay, if the signal is changed, until the next clock edge comes, or until the next clock bells, the data will not be changed. It is having an ability to store the value, whatever the data value that we give. That is how it basically the net and registers are differed. And yes, now no, as I showed you earlier, the FPGA, right? But FPGA is not only a standalone integrated circuit. It must be work in conjunction with many other circuits. Then only it has some meaningful work that we can do it. Understand? And yes, there are few modeling styles also, specific modeling styles that we use in Verilog. The modeling styles are data flow modeling, structural modeling, behavioral modeling, and mixed of all the modules or modelings also can be used. Got it? You may ask, what is this modeling style and when do I use this modeling style? How do I make a selection? If you know that, when you design a circuit, if you know that how your data flows from input to the output, how your data flows from input to the output, then very well you can use the data flow modeling. And yes, as you design a circuit, if you know the complete structure of the circuit, then we can use the structural level modeling style. Got it? Or you don't know anything, you don't know what is the data flow, you do not know what is the structure of the circuit, but one thing you know, that you know how the circuit functions, you know how the circuit works. Then what we can do, we can use the behavioral modeling. Understand? So like this, we have several modeling styles are there in the Verilog, whichever is convenient to us, that we can select, whichever is comfortable to us also we can select and make use. Understand? Okay. So with this information, okay, I just wanted to start with the uh, flow of Xilinx, so that you'll understand how to uh, how to enter a type of program and how to run a program in Verilog, and how to check its functionality, and how the program can be downloaded onto the FPGA also. Okay. Yes. So now here, actually, afternoon, Ashwini asked me, sir, what about the software, whether people can practice it or not? Um, but you can download it from internet. You can download the software from internet, but provided if you have a space of around 2 to 3 GB. Okay. If it is the software itself requires to do 3 GB, then you require more space in the disk also for the software to get operated smoothly. Understand? So please ensure that you have good space, then you can download the software and you can try to make use of it. Okay. So now I'll just jump into this software. Okay. So first thing I told you about Xilinx. Xilinx basically they produce a FPGA, and also to program FPGA they introduced a software called ISE. ISE. Can you see that here? Okay, you can see that here. Xilinx ISE. There are several versions are there. Okay, what version that we are going to use today is a 9.1i. Okay, ISE means integrated software environment. Integrated software environment. So we use this software for programming an FPGA. Got it? So we are not discussing the ASIC programming here. We are discussing the FPGA kind of programming. So double click on this. Okay. So when you double click, it gives you many detail about the basic layout. The tip of the day is also will be given, that you can ignore it. And always I just start with the new work. So I close the project here. If you look at the templates, there are many, the application layout, you have a pop-up menus, you have down the line several icons are there. Several icons are there, and there is one window called the source window, and there's a window called a process window. And here we have another output another window called a console window, or we can call it as a transcript window. Got it? So the same look and feel will be there. No, if you compare it with the any other known software which is used for programming, very particularly the Keel programming and all, the same kind of layout is being used, but it is with a intended or a specific application that is given here. Okay. So first what we have to do, first we have to create a project. Okay. So initially I'll just do one basic circuit, then I'll take one another level of circuit, then I'll tell you how to do the things step by step. Okay. So now here first we have to create a project. So for creating a project, go to the file and select a new project. And here I'm just first time, as I told you, I'm going to I'm going to implement a full adder only. I'm going to implement a full adder. So I given a project name as a full adder, and as I told you, now we are going to use the HDL as a data entry. So HDL is the top level source type by default. Then we select the next. Here we have to select the device, target device. Okay, so here we are intended to use FPGA. So there are FPGAs specifically available or classified for different applications. As I told you, Xilinx, no, they provide solutions to many sectors. So there are some general purpose FPGAs. There are FPGAs that are exclusively used for automotive, defense, military applications, and high reliability applications, and even to some extent what radiation hardening also. In some applications, the FPGAs are used. So I just select simply the all application. Okay, and also if we look into it, okay, so also if I look into it, there are many families are there. Quickly, if you look run through, like there are many families are there. So we particularly use this, particularly the Spartan 3 family. Okay, and in Spartan 3 also there are many series are available. There are many series are available. So it depends on the components, depends on the block diagram. We have the different packages. So we can select any of the packages. So right now we are using XC3S200. XC3S200. So it indicates that XC3S indicates that it's a Xilinx product, and C3S is basically, it indicates the family name of the FPGA, and 200 indicates it is the number of pins on in an FPGA. And also there is a package detail also, because FPGAs are produced in a different packages. So this is called an FT package. So this package is having the this package also there, and also there are many other packages are there. This is flat top package, plastic quad package. Got it? So like this, there are many packages are there. We can use any of the packages, because just we are doing only the simulation part now. Okay, and the speed of the device also it is given here, that is -4, -5. Depends on the circuits, depends on the board, we can, depends on the FPGA, we can select and we can make use. Yes, as I told you, when you do the design, when involved in the design entry, we need to know about our synthesis method and also the simulation method. So Xilinx provides the synthesis tool as XST, which can be used for VHDL and Verilog, and simulator also is provided by Xilinx, which is called ISE simulator. ISE simulator. So by using these, what we can do, we can try to simulate our program, and also we can synthesize our circuit as well. Then preferred language, you can select either VHDL or Verilog. So now we select the Verilog only. Okay, and after this we'll select the next. Got it? So next will help me to create a new source, and here I select the new source, and we can select different types of new sources here. These sources are supported by the Xilinx itself. Got it? So we have schematic, state diagram, test bench waveform, user document, Verilog module, test picture, VHDL, like this many sources are there. So right now I'm just going to use only the Verilog module. Verilog module. So using this Verilog module, I'm going to enter the design. So I'll give one file name called FA, again for full adder only. And next I select we ensure that this is selected, add to project, then select next, then select next, and you know the modules, no, the details required. So here we give the inputs. So A comma B comma C in separately also we can give. So we can select the direction, input direction, and also no, we can have output called sum and carry out. Output sum and carry out we can make use, and here the direction you change it to output. Either we follow these steps, or even straight away we can write the program also, but Xilinx supports this easier method, so we can make use of it. then select next, and finally finish. Then it says that there is a no directory called FA. Would you like to add? Yes, I would like to create a new directory. So you can select S over here. And now you can see that FA is a module that's created here, and Verilog module, it's recognized by the system. And now select next. If you want to add any existing source also, we can do it by selecting the add source and browsing to the corresponding locations, we can do it. Then select next. So this gives the summary of the project what we have created. So we use this particular path. Our top level source is HDL. Device families are this one. And also the tools what we are going to use are XST and other details are there. Okay. Then select finish. So once you select finish, now your entire layout is changed here. Got it. So the layout gives many details over here. And now if you look at this, this is our project. We are using this as a target device, XCS3S200. Okay, 200, and also the FA full adder module over here. So in a Verilog structure, we'll be having this module keywords to define the module, and full adder is the basically the name, user identifier name, what I have given here for representing my circuit. So full adder, and actually this is supposed to be B. By mistake I given C here. So this also I change it to B. Nothing wrong in it here. We can do the changes. So we have specified the details of the ports and also the input ports and the output ports also, it's given here. Okay. So next what we'll do, it's now we have to select what type of modeling style we are going to use to describe the circuit. Got it. So what we will do, we can try to use a simplest method called a data flow method. So by using data flow method, I'm writing my Verilog code as assign. Okay, assign sum is equal to A XOR B XOR C, and similarly assign C out is equal to I put it within bracket to avoid confusion, A and B, and or. How do you specify the or? By using this symbol, or. It's all right, or B and C, or C and A. C and A. Understand? So this is called a data flow method, data flow modeling. So using this data flow modeling, I have described the full adder. Very simple, isn't it? I know how the data flows. What are the basic operations are taking place? So I've used this method. We can write it in a different method also, but I'm not here to teach the Verilog now, isn't it? So I just wanted to run you through the environment where we can use Verilog and how to program our FPGA by using Xilinx. We can implement any program, not only this program. We can implement a small program as small as the NOT gate, or as big as designing a big embedded system project also. We can do it with the help of this Verilog code. The syntax and the semantics are similar to the C language. If you know the C language, it will be very easy for you to pick up this Verilog coding as well. Okay, so that's done. So next, what do I do? Yes, I want to check this functionality. Yes, I have written some circuit, I have written some program, whether actually it's going to work as a full adder or not, isn't it? How do I check this? So what we need to do, the one method of checking is what? By applying the inputs to it. You have no inputs, ports are there. So we have to apply the inputs, isn't it? How do we apply the inputs? How do we apply the inputs? So in order to apply the input, what we do, we add, no, first we'll just save this work because we have modified the program here. And now I'll just take this little up. Okay, so if I click this, for this particular file, there are many processes are supported here. Many processes are supported here. So what I need to do first, I need to check for the syntax. So the syntax can be checked by expanding this synthesize XST and double click on this tool, and it shows that the synthesis is failed here. Okay, so it says that, please understand that there is some error it shows, isn't it? The error description also gives many detail. So if you details deeply look into it, we'll get to know where is the error. Line number 24 is having an error, but it says that C has not been declared. So go to this, and I have not declared a C, I have declared in C in. Got it? So I need to change wherever I use the C, I have to change it to C in, and here also I have to change it into C in. Okay, so save this again. Now check for the syntax. Check for the syntax, and syntax check is completed. If it is successfully completed, then it will indicate with a tick mark. Indicate with a tick mark. And also we can see that how our circuit. No, you have written a code. You have written a code, and how it is actually implemented in a FPGA, or how it's going to be implemented on FPGA, can be seen by double clicking on this view RTL schematic. So view RTL schematic, you see that at a high level, it is having three inputs, isn't it? A, B, C in, and on the other side output you have C out and sum as well, isn't it? So if I just double click on this, I'll be entering into one level in deep. Understand? So you can see that here whatever I implemented, it has come up here. A XR B XR C, it is there. That gives the sum. And if we continue to look into it, I'll be able to get it. Understand? So now this is called a realization of the circuit. It's implementation of the circuit. I have written a code. How my system is interpreted is very much important to me. So that we have seen here. Understand? So that is the synthesis part. This we got a synthesis part. And if you look at the design summary and the synthesis report, okay, as I told you, now our aim is to implement a digital design on an FPGA. So this report gives the complete detail about, so what are the components that we have utilized, got it? So and many other parameters are going to be given here. So macro synthesis, so 1-bit XR 3, got it? So every report, if you look into it, the device utilization summary for our design, as I told you with an FPGA block diagram I showed you, right? So what are the contents of FPGA? You have a reconfigurable blocks, you have no memory, you have a DSPs, isn't it? So with that, if you look into it, it gives an idea that there are a number of slices. Slices consist of what? Combinational and sequential circuits. So it has used 1 out of 1920. That means this FPGA, it is having 1920 slices. 1920 slices. Lay down, every know. Okay, so out of available 1920 configurable, the number of slices, we have used only one. And out of 4 input LUTs, LUT is called a lookup table, we have used 2. System has it interpret and it translated the information into in its own way. Number of inputs, how many we have used? It is 5 input output pins we have used. A number of bonded buses, we have used 5 out of 173. So if you look at that, our circuit is not even occupied than 0.1%. It is just 1 out of 1920. And you see that the percentage utilization is just 0% over here. So like this, the many details are going to be obtained from this particular report. Okay, it also gives that how much memory is used, and number of errors and other detail. Okay, that is, we'll leave it out. And the next, what we can do, what we'll do here is we have to test the circuit. Functionality of the circuit also need to be checked. We have seen the realization, how our circuit is going to be implemented in practice, we have seen. But now, whether it's working as per our requirement or not, that also we have to check, isn't it? How do we check this? So in order to check this, what we have to do, we have to create another new source called test bench waveform. Test bench waveform. So selecting this test bench waveform, I given one name here called FA underscore test, FA underscore test, which is also going to be a part of my project, and it is going to be in this folder only. Then select next. And for what purpose I'm using this test bench? So I'm going to use this test bench for the full adder only, for the full adder module. What is the full adder module? That's a Verilog module which I developed here. Okay, so here for in a Xilinx, we are making the things slightly easier because it's quite user friendly. But whereas this is not going to be done in this way, people used to write a separate Verilog code as a Verilog test bench, which will be interconnected to the design under module, the module under test, and the functionality will be checked. But since it is not at a lower level, we will use this kind of methods to understand the concept and to utilize it for our benefit. So now here, now we can just select the full adder as our module and select next. Then we can select finish. Okay. So at this stage, it will ask me to select the particular clock. Select a clock for my application. Got it. So there are many ways are there to do it. So the thing is, but here I can select the clock is going to be my rising edge clock and the high time, low time. By default, it will be having some value. If you want to change also, you can change. And global signals means, no, when we have some clock and reset, those things are already built in FPGA. So we can straight away pull from those areas. So that is why we have a global signals. If it's global signal, we can make use of it. Okay. So what do I do now? I just select this single clock here, because we have only one signal that's selected here. Even if you want, you can do it for a multiple clocks also. When you want to use the multiple clocks, we have to select the multiple outputs here. Got it. So A, B, C, choose the desired clocks from the list. So we can select all and go to the next, and adding these two into it, which will help us to set a clock for individually for every signal. So A, B, and C. So A, I'll say high time is 100 nanosecond, low time is 100 nanosecond. Got it. For a B, what do? I make, I just want to make a simple change, that's it. I'll make only the high time is 50 and low time is 100 nanosecond. If I do like this, generally my duty cycle will be changed. Okay. And also for scene also I can change. Got it? Because it's a combination logic circuit, we can use the clock however we want. Okay. So let it be with 100 and 100 only. So I'll just finish my work here. Yes, I finished it here. Understand? So with a given detail, I've got some of the waveforms here. Some of the waveforms here. But this is not my output. Please understand that this is not my output. But our output is going to be after simulating the module only we will get. But these are the signals that we are going to apply. These are the pattern of the values that we are going to apply to the module under test to check its functionality. Okay. So what do? I just did some changes, right? So I'll make a, I'll save it here. Got it. Then next, what I have to do? I have to select the behavioral simulation from here. And when I select the behavioral simulation, I select on this. And here I have the Xilinx ISC simulator. And when I double click on this simulate behavioral model, it will be helpful for me. It will simulate the design for me. Understand? So it has no, these many details are not required for us. I'll just delete all these things. Okay, so I'll just take this output also to the bottom line so that we'll be able to see that in a format. I just arranged that carry also, I'll put it down. So you can see that now the A, B, C in, some out are the C input and outputs for us. So here I just bring my cursor, point my marker. So I place this, A is 1, B is 1, C is 1, sum is 1, and carry is 1, also 1. Then if you look into this at this place, A is 1, B is 0, C in is 1. So sum should be 0 and carry should be 1. If I check this at this place, it will be sum is 1, A is 1, B is 0, C in is 1, again sum is 0, carry is 1. Got it? So like this, we can check at every instances. Here, if you look into it now, A is 0, B is 1, sum is 1, carry is 0. Okay. So is it working like a full adder now? Is it working like a full adder? Were you able to see what I was doing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yes. So that's how basically the functionality of the circuit is checked here. So once we ensure that our functionality is checked, got it? The next step what we are going to do is we are bringing back this to this synthesis implementation. I select the process. So we have completed the synthesis process. We have completed the, next we'll go to the implement design process. But implement design process, I'm going to straight away run from here. That is generate the programming file, is that right? So here I'm going to select generate programming file. So if you look at the FPGA, there are many, as I told you, it works in conjunction with many circuits. So one of the circuit is PROM file. So we generate the PROM file by using this. So for this, we use one module called impact module or impact tool. And also, no, due to some limitations, I don't have an FPGA here with me because academically we are not using FPGA in our department. So we don't have FPGA, but when you have an FPGA, we can download it. But I will show you how it's going to get implemented also. So I'm just clicking it here for configure device. So what this will do, it will run the process in hierarchy. So it shows that the design is getting implemented. Design gets implemented, and everywhere you can check that it completed the translate part. It has completed the mapping part. Got it? Since I don't have a design, so I'm just neglecting this part. And if you look into it, mapping is done, place and route is done. Then also the programming file is also generated here. But we don't have a device to we don't have a device to download. Okay, fine. So if you look at this implementation of design, got it. So you can see that here how our components are placed here. Place and route report and place and route and view or edit place the design. Okay, let it create UCF, no problem. Got it. So this is not done. The work is done automatically by the system. So if you look into it, this is the FPGA what we are talking about from the beginning. Okay. So if you look into it, somewhere we'll be having a signal implemented here. You can see that here something is got selected. If I want, I can zoom in. It's a kind of an array only. Got it? So here our design is implemented. Can you see this? It's such a big FPGA. It's such a big FPGA. In this FPGA, in one corner, our design is implemented. In one corner, our design is implemented. Then think of that, how much work you can do it with this FPGA. Got it? So these are all the pin numbers of the FPGA pins. So we have the, if you place the cursor, it will show you what is that signal is all about. P5 pin number and the purpose of the detail, the pins also, it will be shown here. So that's how basically it is implemented on a circuit. So also what we can do it separately also. We can do it like this. We can change the pin configurations by just closing this. I'm moving on to this next one. And here, if I look at it, the use of construct file is generated here. And here I can go and see that many constraints also can be added. We can add some timing constraint. We can add package pins. Like that, we can do many things. If I show only the package pin part, got it? So as again I told, I told you that these are the this is the FPGA component, and the design entries are already, it is done here. Okay. So if you want to change the pin also, we can change the pin by selecting the location. By selecting the location, but already by default, the system would have basically, it would have assigned your design to some of the pins, and if you want to change it later also, we can change it by changing the locations by looking into the data sheets. Okay, and now if we look at it, A pin, it is there, somewhere else it will be there. It can be connected somewhere. Whichever the pin that we want, we can select. There are pin numbers are there, isn't it? So to those pin numbers, we can connect our data. But already it's done by the computer. I don't want to disturb it at this moment. I'm just telling you the option of doing this. Okay, so that we have done it. So now here, if you look into it, the basic requirements for working on Xilinx software is, you should have a knowledge about the FPGA that you are using, and very importantly, these are all only the tool procedure. Got it? More than a tool procedure, you should have a good idea, and also you should have a good project which will efficiently use the FPGA. So if you have these more things, we can do it. And quickly, I just wanted to show you one more method of entering the design. So the first method of entering the design, what I showed to you, was by using the Verilog module. By using the Verilog module, we have entered the design into the computer and we have tried to simulate, isn't it? So the complex circuits, when the circuit it becomes complex and which cannot be handled by any circuit diagram, which we cannot design also, then there is a concept called state machines. So using state machines also, what we can do, we can develop a complex digital circuits. So if you have a state machines, you need not to write the separate code. What you can do is, you can just draw the state machine. Then there is a plugin which will help you to get a Verilog code out of it. That only I'm going to show you quickly. So let me say I'm selecting this state diagram as the source, and I'm just giving some name, state machine FA, and next, then finishing the work. So this will help me to get a new tool called StateCAD. So using this StateCAD, what I can do, hope you know what is the test bench I'm talking about now, what is the state diagram I'm talking about, isn't it? So what you can do is, you can place a state, isn't it? And as many states as you want, you can place. Hope this you might have studied in your probably in the third semester or somewhere down the line, you might have studied this concept called state machines. And each state, if you want to represent your name for any state also, you can do it. Or if you want to specify only the output also, you can do it. So let me say my output is equal to 0 at this state, then I can specify it by using this representation. So that will give you the state 0 is having the output y is value 0, and also for this state, if I want to specify the y is equal to any other value also, I can specify. Got it? We can specify using the array or anything, you can do it. So I'm just doing the one basic implementation here. And also for this, I select y is equal to 0, and with the quotes, between the quotes I have placed it here. And yes, state machines has every transition, right? So first I would like to try to add a reset pin to this. So I'm sorry, this is like in some different logic. Okay, so here I take should this will be asynchronous? Asynchronous is yes. So the reset input and state transition. State transition, and also no, if you say that there is another state transition from here. This end, then one more transition, let's say it goes from here to go to here. Okay, and if you believe that your transition is going to be based on the input, then you can double click on this and you can give the condition, that is a is equal to some input value 1, then this will move when a is equal to 1, okay, and this will go when a is equal to 1. Got it? So like this, I've specified that this state will change from this state to this state, that is state 0 to state 1, upon the a value is equal to 1. Upon a value is equal to 1. What about a value is equal to 0? Okay, so a value equal to 0, I specify it here like this. So this is my reset. So I'm here putting it a is equal to 0. We can use any condition. Okay, only for your understanding, I'm trying to do this. So copy this, and if you want to paste it here also. Okay, so again I'll draw this here, this transition from so double clicking this, I write it here, a is equal to 0. So like this, you might have studied the state machines in your digital electronics, and here also a is equal to 0. Got it? So like this, we have entered the design, and now I save this file, And now just know there are many options are there, but what I'll do straight away, I'll click the plugin here called generate HDL. And before that, I ensure that I'm developing a Verilog code. So I select a Verilog from here. Then now I generate the HDL, and it says that select outputs to be made reg. Yes, this output is going to be the reg for me. So optimize the program accordingly. And it says that one state machine, 3 states, 7 transitions are there. And if I close that, finally you can able to see that without any hard work, I got the complete Verilog code for a complex logic circuit, not a ordinary logic circuit, for a complex logic circuit, isn't it? Even if you sit and type also, it will take more than 15 minutes. But from the diagram, straight away, if you know the diagram, but implement it, then you can make use of it as well. Understand? So now what we can do, we can copy this program if you want. What we can do, we can copy this program and we can put it into the Xilinx here, and we can simulate it and we can run and simulate it also. Okay, so just 1 minute. So if you have any method of copying it, but it's not allowing me now. But how many of you still believe that you can copy this program? There are ways. You can install your PDF writer software and copy the entire thing, and you can put it into the system. Then you can make use this as a Verilog code, and that will help you to give your output also. Okay, so just 1 minute. I'll try to add this to the project also. Let me check it out how it's going to come up. We have already done this, and now we have an existing source. In this module only we have existing source, and yes, state diagram is also there. I don't know how far its Verilog code is there here. It's developed here. So it is going to be used here, and SMV, and see, you can see that here now. Whatever the Verilog code that we have developed from there, it has come here straight away, isn't it? So now if I have to, I'll just set this as a top module, and if I have to check the syntax, it is clear. Now if you look at for the RTL implementation of this, okay, it's already having the NGF file. This error shouldn't have happened. So once again, I'll just to restart the Xilinx. So yes, I would like to open it, and the error was already I had this NGC file, so I'll delete it, because for one program we can create NGR also. I'll delete it. Okay, because it goes with the project, and now that is a top level module, and synthesized. Now let me check. It's able to pick up. You can see that here our test bench. Now this state diagram, whatever we have drawn, it is implemented here. You can see that. Is it our work? No, the system has done it in its own way. Automatically the work is done. If you down the line, if you look into it everywhere, you will be able to see how your code is converted into a beautiful circuit. Got it? So with this, we have learned that the design entry for the VLSI design process can be done in two ways. Okay, so one is the HDL entry, other one is the schematic entry or a state machine entry. So using this, we'll be getting Verilog code. See what a beautiful thing. You see that such a big complex circuit, you know, which cannot be realized with any means by using the basic circuits. It can be implemented only by the state machines. If you have derived the state machine, straight away you draw the state diagram, it will going to get you the code, and that is going to be implemented ultimately onto a memory as well, onto the FPGA also. Got it? So that's a schematic, and if you want to check how the things are implemented, just check it on the implement design. So every process it will go through, and it will do the place and route also. And now here you can see that no view, edit the place, the design or router design. There are many things are there. I'm just giving you only that at a creamy way. I just give you some of the details here. Place the design. You can see that here your design is placed here somewhere. Understand? So clock, you can see that how it's connected. Your inputs are connected from here to here. Your design is actually implemented on an FPGA in this part. You see that continue to go on. Several blocks are in each thing. You have a block, several blocks. So many blocks are used here. Totally, this not known to us. What is happening inside? This is the complete implementation. Got it? Hope this lecture was useful and given you some idea about Xilinx and the use of Xilinx in the VLSI design process. Got it? So thank you all. Any questions that I can take for 3 minutes or so? Any questions that I can pick up? No questions?
No, sir.
Yeah. What, Ashwini? Ashwini, Satak? Am I audible to you all? Yeah. So no questions? Fine. So with a limited time, I could able to give you the insights of the Xilinx software. Hope this will be useful. And you can now try your career also on the VLSI design field. Very good opportunities are there in the VLSI domain, which you cannot match with the software domain also. Such a good improvements and good opportunities are available with VLSI industry. Hope definitely this will be a good eye opening for you to select your career also. Okay, fine. Somebody is very particular about attendance. Ashwini, take care of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall I wind up? Anything else to be done?
No, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time.
Okay, fine. Thank you. I'm signing off.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Sir, few seconds, sir. Sarthak will give the ending speech, sir.
Satak.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the session. It was an interesting session, and if we get if we'd like to know more about this, we'll contact you for this.
Sure, always welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Sagar, activate the link.
Yeah, fine. Hope the video is also getting recorded. You can share that video with me later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll share.
Sure, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you.